Battle through the heavens, Grand World. Chapter 41. Success. Xiao Yan finally heaved a sigh of relief when he sensed the aura of the fire beast in the fire net weakening. The smoke dispersed, and the fire beast was nowhere to be seen. The Chaos Great Monarch flame had turned into an exquisite fire lotus. In the center of the lotus, a blood-red light was flickering slowly, and it gradually merged into the flower bud. The moment the light completely merged with the flower bud, the fire in the Chaos Great Monarch flame suddenly increased. It was like a sea of fire that was tens of thousands of feet in size, illuminating half of the sky with a bright red glow like the sunset glow. Looking at this spectacular scene, Xiao Yan, who was connected to the Chaos Great Monarch flame's mind, immediately felt that there seemed to be a strange force in the Chaos Great Monarch flame. An unknown feeling was emitted from the depths of Xiao Yan's heart. Very quickly, the fire in the Chaos Great Monarch flame gradually weakened. The red clouds in the sky also gradually faded. The Chaos Great Monarch flame turned into a crystal clear fire lotus and slowly fell down, entering Xiao Yan's body to recuperate. Right now, the Chaos Great Monarch flame has only devoured the Monarch flame's secret skill. Whether I can cultivate it or not, I really need the cooperation of the two of you. Yi Tianqian nodded his head in satisfaction and said, "Since you have successfully devoured it, you can cultivate here slowly. Wait until you break through to the 5th Sovereign Warrior realm. When the time comes, I will personally sharpen your physical strength." As he spoke, Yi Tianqian's figure gradually disappeared. In the end, only his laughter echoed in this place. After hearing Yi Tianqian's last sentence, Xiao Yan's calm heart once again started beating violently. It was the guidance of an ultimate saint expert. What did that mean? Xiao Yan didn't even need to think to know. After being excited for a long time, Xiao Yan finally sat down with his legs crossed. His mind immersed into his body, searching for the whereabouts of the Chaos Great Monarch flame. Above his dantian was a misty scene. Below was the Origin Monarch key that had been refined. The Origin Monarch key was rolling. Like a vast ocean of Monarch key, 4 origin chains as thick as a baby's arm came out from the ocean. The Origin Monarch key emitted a strong aura, and the chains shook slightly. The sound of metal colliding was heard, causing the ocean of Monarch key below to roar in a low voice. At this moment, in the hazy area above his dantian, an extremely exquisite fire lotus was quietly rotating. A strange fluctuation was continuously emitted from within. With a slight thought, a crimson world of magma appeared in Xiao Yan's mind. The sky, the earth, the lake, everything that his mind could sense was filled with the red color of magma. The lake was steaming hot, and from time to time, huge magma bubbles would burst open, causing a stream of magma to shoot into the sky. The sky was extremely deep. The red clouds that filled the sky had merged with the sky. In the distance, huge volcanoes that reached into the clouds were emitting smoke, as if they would erupt in the next moment. After roughly observing the small barrier formed by the Chaos Great Monarch flame's fire source, Xiao Yan turned his attention to the matter of finding the Monarch flame's secret skill, and looked at the sky full of red. Xiao Yan really didn't know how to start. While he was hesitating, a small black shadow suddenly appeared in the distance. The black shadow was extremely fast, and in a few breaths' time, it appeared in front of Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan took a closer look, and it turned out to be the Xiaoyi. At this moment, the Xiaoyi was still petite, and its appearance had not changed at all. Perhaps it was because he was the fire spirit of the Chaos Great Monarch flame, and it was also within his fire source. The Xiaoyi's aura was much stronger than before. The Xiaoyi couldn't help but squeal excitedly when it saw Xiao Yan. It landed on Xiao Yan's shoulder. A small flame appeared on Little Yi's forehead and gently fell into Xiao Yan's hand. As the flame burned, it emitted words formed by flames. When the flame dissipated, a short number of words floated in the air. Xiao Yan read through the words carefully and his expression gradually became serious. This was the cultivation method of the Monarch Flame's secret skill. The Xiaoyi had already devoured it, but the origin of the Monarch Flame's secret skill was hidden in this small barrier, almost becoming one with this world. Only by finding it could the Xiaoyi devour the origin and truly learn the Monarch Flame's secret skill. The Xiaoyi had already used the fire spirit's power to search this world, but it still couldn't find anything. Even the owner of this world couldn't find anything. On one hand, it showed how powerful the Monarch Flame's secret skill was, and on the other hand, the Chaos Great Monarch flame was still too weak. He let out a light breath. With a wave of his hand, the fiery characters in front of him dissipated. Then, he looked at the red magma world. A huge amount of soul power surged from all directions, carefully searching every corner of this world. According to the description provided by the Xiaoyi, the Monarch Flame secret skill had already transformed into something. Since it was separated from Yi Tianshan's Thousand Leaves ancient Monarch Fire, it was very likely that it had turned into a leaf and hidden itself. A huge amount of soul energy kept pouring into the pagoda, and the Crimson World was gradually enveloped by it. Xiao Yan calmed his mind and started searching for the Monarch Flame secret skill. About half a day later, Xiao Yan opened his eyes, which were covered in sweat. There was a look of exhaustion on his face. He tried his best to use his soul power, but he still couldn't find the Monarch Flame secret skill. This made Xiao Yan wonder if the Monarch Flame secret skill had been swallowed by the Xiaoyi. Wiping off his sweat, Xiao Yan unwillingly closed his eyes again. His soul force once again entered the fire source of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame. Just as Xiao Yan was about to give it his all to search again, the sky above the red magma world suddenly rumbled with lightning. Then, the red clouds slowly dissipated, and a rough lightning bolt flashed past. Xiao Yan's expression changed. When the lightning bolt passed by, he could clearly see the 9 profound golden thunders' appearance. Boom! Along with a deafening sound of thunder, a strange red leaf the size of a palm slowly fell from the clouds. After that, a thunder rumbled like a thunder dragon, twisting its steel-like body. The instant the strange leaf appeared, the fire in the Xiaoyi's eyes suddenly lit up. In a flash, it disappeared from where it was standing, and when it reappeared, it was already beside the leaf. He waved his little hand, and a flame instantly wrapped around the leaf. Amidst the faint explosion of the flame, the Xiaoyi happily swallowed the flame. At the same time that the leaf was swallowed by the Xiaoyi, the golden lightning was like a living creature. After a few twists, it dissipated, and the thick crimson cloud once again surged forward, replacing the spot where the lightning was. Xiao Yan watched the lightning disappear. The shock on his face also disappeared. After a brief moment of shock, Xiao Yan calmed down. The 9 profound golden thunder had already been swallowed by the Xiaoyi, so it wasn't impossible for it to enter the fire source of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame. Xiao Yan's mind withdrew from the fire source, and a hint of joy appeared on his face. Now, all he needed to do was wait for the Xiaoyi to refine the Monarch Flame secret skill. Although it was only a mid-emperor grade Monarch Flame secret skill, it was still better than nothing. At that time, his strength would surely rise to another level. It was a long wait. Xiao Yan had finally endured for nearly a day. There was no night in the illusion realm, and it would always be a sunny day. He estimated the time in his heart. When the day was about to end, a mysterious key suddenly emerged from Xiao Yan's body. The key of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame, which was connected to Xiao Yan's mind, instantly soared. Success! Xiao Yan was delighted. He followed Yi Tianshan's method and formed a complicated hand seal. As soon as the hand seal was formed, Xiao Yan could vaguely feel that the connection between him and the Chaos Great Monarch Flame had deepened. The Chaos Great Monarch Flame also quickly entered a more hidden place in his body. Fire Wheel Dao! Xiao Yan shouted and continued to change the handprint. It was only the first step. He had established a contract with the Monarch Flame. The second step was to completely borrow the power of the Monarch Flame. The 10 fingers quickly changed, leaving afterimages behind. Although the hand seals were complicated, Xiao Yan was able to use them without any hindrance. At this moment, the advantage of the fighting monarch of lower realm was easily displayed. When they were on the brink of death, their talent in learning the monarch skill was more than a level higher than that of the original residents. The moment the hand seal was formed, Xiao Yan's ki suddenly skyrocketed. At the same time, the Chaos Great Monarch Flame rushed out of his body and wrapped around Xiao Yan's body. At a glance, he looked like a fireman. 5, 6, 7. Xiao Yan's ki continued to rise crazily, breaking through the limit. A strong airflow burst out from his body, destroying all the trees around him. 8 sovereign warriors. When the surging aura reached 8 emperors, it finally showed signs of stopping. Finally, it stopped at the peak of 8 emperors. After getting familiar with the sudden increase in strength, Xiao Yan moved his body, and the sound of bones smashing against each other could be heard without end. It was as if firecrackers had exploded, and the sound of bones cracking continuously rang out. What a powerful strength! Xiao Yan could not help but exclaim. Although the origin monarch ki in his body did not increase in the slightest, it had solidified a lot under the power of the chaos great monarch flame. It made Xiao Yan feel that the current origin monarch ki was comparable to nearly 10 of the 4th sovereign-ranked emperors. He waved his fists and legs a few times. Every time he swung his fists, there would be whistling sound of wind breaking. Wherever the fist wind went, wisps of flame would appear out of thin air and shoot out in a mysterious arc. It was exceptionally fierce. The Monarch Flame secret skill's effect was similar to the Heavenly Fire 3 mysterious change that Xiao Yan had practiced before, but the former was more perfect. As it was borrowing the power of the Monarch Flame's fire source, it could be maintained for a longer period of time. The consumption of the Monarch Flame secret skill on the origin Monarch Ki could be ignored. More importantly, as the strength of his body and the Monarch Flame increased, the Monarch Flame secret skill became a different kind of Monarch skill. It could also be strengthened, just like the Flame mantra. It could evolve. Currently, the Monarch Flame secret skill was only at the intermediate stage of the Sovereign Realm. When it was used, Xiao Yan's strength had skyrocketed. Although he hadn't broken through to the Sovereign Realm, but increasing to 8 Sovereign Warriors were enough to satisfy Xiao Yan. If he could evolve into the Monarch Spell, Monarch Arts, or even the legendary Saint-level Monarch skill in the future, the power would definitely shake the heavens and earth. Feeling the free flow of the origin Monarch Ki in his body, Xiao Yan suddenly had a thought. I wonder if there is a secret technique called Monarch skill in this great world. If I use the secret technique, Monarch skill, and Monarch Flame secret skill at the same time, what kind of effect will it achieve? While Xiao Yan was lost in his thoughts, Yi Tianqian was looking at the fiery curtain in front of him in the huge square that was paved with bluestone on top of the towering mountain peak. His expression was extremely solemn. In the curtain of fire, the scene was flashing rapidly. A huge red eggshell was shaking violently. Its key was in disorder, causing the space around it to crack. A 3,000-meter-long fire dragon was hovering at a low altitude around the huge egg. An anxious dragon's roar was heard from its throat. Sigh. After a long time, Yi Tianqian let out a long sigh towards the sky. His tone was filled with helplessness. After a long while, Yi Tianqian looked at the fire curtain once again. His eyes were filled with vicissitudes of life, and his handsome face looked somewhat aged. Xiaolong, is it still not enough? Yi Tianqian opened his mouth, and there was a trace of hope in his voice. After a long time, a weak voice came out of the fire curtain. My origin is seriously injured. If I want to recover, I have to take that step. Yi Tianqian's last hope was shattered. He clenched his fists in his sleeves and loosened his grip. He said in a hoarse voice, I thought that little guy saved you at the last moment. Actually, hundreds of years ago, I had already sensed the disappearance of my origin. With the 1,000 leaves ancient monarch fire that could be extinguished at any time, I originally could not protect my origin. The first time I saw that little guy, I had this plan. In the curtain of fire, although the huge egg was violently trembling, it still emitted intermittent sounds. There was a sense of relief in its tone. After hearing these words, Yi Tianqian could only nod his head solemnly. The huge egg continued, furthermore, I can see my master again before I lose my mind. The little dragon has no more regrets after seeing you once. After roaming for tens of thousands of years, you finally ended up like this. This can be considered the fate of the heavens. Ha ha, Yi Tianqian smiled and said to himself, fate. Will the Supreme Saint still believe this? The fate of the Supreme Saint is also in my hands. In the great world, the Supreme Saint belongs to the human race. It was as if he had heard Yi Tianqian mumbling to himself. It took a long time before these words came out of the huge egg. Everyone thought that the Supreme Saint was an immortal existence that controlled the fate of countless people, but to the people of the past, as the Supreme Saint, they couldn't even control their own life. After nodding his head silently, Yi Tianqian suddenly laughed out loud. That's right. Since you have no choice but to take that step, little dragon. Then I won't have to worry about it anymore. For the next few years, let your heart do as it pleases. Chapter end.